So we're going to start right here with this painting. This painting is called Angel Presence, and I thought it was really appropriate. We prayed before just a few moments ago, we prayed and invited the angels to come and participate and have a party with us. And so we're starting right here. This is my first ever oil, which I just painted. So everything you're going to see the rest of the day is acrylic. This is oil. It was a total fun experiment. Learned a lot about pushing oil paint around to create something. And at the end, and I was worshiping, and I knew it was abstract, but I knew it had something to do with the presence and worship. And at the end, I literally just kind of did a doodle, maybe it's a diddle, in the paint, and this little sketch came out. And then somebody told me, oh gosh, it looks like somebody praying. And then I could see it all together happening, that it's really a response. The angels come when we worship the Lord. It's our response as we pray and seek the Lord. And so that's what this is about. And then the fun thing, this is available, and it include this frame, because I actually bought this frame in a probably a consignment shop years ago, right at the beginning of starting to paint. It wasn't actually that long ago. I'll tell you that story in a minute. But knowing I'd paint something on it, but it already had a little oil painting in it. But what's really cool is it's got a 1972 date on the frame, and the original artist's little name on there, from Mariposa, which is an area near Yosemite, kind of where we used to live. And so I just thought that was charming, and I just love the fact that it's vintage and it's yet a brand new modern oil painting. That's called Angel Presence. And next we're going to go to that one, I think. This is called Extravagant. It is extravagant, as you're going to hear. I'm going to cheat and sit down. Does that mess up the? Okay. So the story on this painting is there's 3 different paintings on it, all with the same attempt. In other words, I was working it. So I took it to the healing rooms, Bethel Healing Rooms, where I'm an active member, both as a prayer minister and as an artist. And I took it to paint, and I did this pretty but abstract piece, and I sat on it for maybe a year, but it never felt complete. So then I took it again, started kind of just adding to it. It still didn't feel right, didn't feel complete. And then one day in the studio, I just let it all hang out. So I put on some worship music and worshiped, and this is the result. And what's really fun about this is because there's so many layers of paint, you get so much richness, so much depth, and so much character to it, and it really is extravagant. So I also got to play around with just some markings and things, and I have a friend who's a musician who sees music notes and a staff, and we have explosions going up in here and sort of a dripping down of heaven's response to us, and it's this constant back and forth and coming and going for worship. And I'm very fond of this. I love it a lot. It's a 36 by 36, and it is available. It's also on a handmade and hand-stretched canvas, so it's particularly heavy compared to the ones you buy at Michael's. We noticed that today when we were hanging some things. Wow, that's so much heavier than the others. There's a good reason for that. Okay, then I think we're going to go right behind you, Jeannie, and I'm going to talk to you about this piece. Now, what's fun about this piece is it's brand new. It is, trying to think, I think it's actually my last piece that I painted. And I'm calling this Always Away. Whoops, yeah, this is an obstacle course in my house right now, so if you hear any weird noises, that's why. Somebody's falling, but it'll be okay. So this piece is called Always Away, or There's Always a Way. I think I'll just stick with Always Away. And I painted this just recently at the Healing Rooms. So Bethel Healing Rooms has been pretty much closed down, online because of COVID. And I got invited to go in and paint. Nobody, this huge sanctuary, me, a couple of dancers, and some musicians. And I got to paint, and it was just wonderful. And I went in with this canvas with no plan other than just to see what Holy Spirit would do. So as I was painting it, I just kept hearing, there's always a way, there's always a way, there's always a way. And it felt like a response. I've been painting a lot you'll hear it, about the response to this shutdown and the COVID and all the stuff that we don't need to hash. But it feels like while there's chaos, there's always ways up. There's always a ladder. So there's a combination of just random, soft, billowy shapes, as well as circular shapes that kind of take us up, as well as some steps. So I intentionally kind of created some geometric shapes that we could sort of climb up on. That was the idea there. So I'm particularly fond of it. I love it. I put some varnish over it. I haven't done a lot of that in the past, but I really like how it makes the color pop out. And this is 18 inches by 36 inches on a stretch canvas. And oh, by the way, you'll see when we go into my art studio, I probably should have started there. I use a very high quality golden acrylic paints for everything I do now. Started with student quality, of course, because who's going to spend that kind of money when you don't know what you're doing? But I felt like I gave myself permission to upgrade. It's been a couple of years, I think, since I've done that. Always a way. Okay, then right here this is called The Path. This is one of my favorite paintings. I worked very hard on it. Oop, I see this water, so I think I'm going to have some. This I actually painted in a art class. Became my project. It's a pathway at Lima Ranch. If any of you are from Redding, you might know Lima Ranch. It's the off limits, but everybody goes and takes pictures there because it's stunning area that's lined with ancient olive trees. And that day, Steve and I were out walking Lima Ranch, and I could tell it was real shadowy, and I'm like, just give me a second. So I snuck into the forbidden area, and I took one picture. I'm like, that's good. And so this is the result of this one picture. Now, it wasn't quite that dramatic, but that's the artist's freedom, right? To be able to paint what you want and how you want it. But it was really, really fun to do that. I learned a lot in the process, but Laura and Jesse and all the other artists have talked a lot about layering. This is a great example of layering. So I do that in all of my paintings. It takes many, many layers and many, many attempts to do that. And this painting is filled with layers and layers and layers to give the depth in the trees and the shadows. It's called The Path. It's framed. It's available. It's 36 by 36. How are we doing? How are you guys doing? Are you having fun yet?
Love hearing about your paintings.
Okay, we're going to walk this way. I think everybody should have a videographer. I'm not going to spend too much time here because this painting sold yesterday morning, and it was a complete and total surprise to me and a delight to me. It's going to a very favorite person's place. It's called Nothing is Impossible, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. It's two of my favorite scriptures that I use. You know, I'm a life coach, so I'm always coaching and encouraging people, and I'm always saying, well, you know, with God, nothing is impossible, and with God, all things are possible. And it kind of covers everything. It covers everything. So there's nothing that's impossible. So I just love that painting. This one's called Redemption. And the story with this one, maybe I'll move here. The story with this one, Jean, come on over with that light. Atta girl, watch your step. Thank you. This has a lot of texture in it. You might even be able to see it with the angles. The story here is, you know, around February 2nd of 2020, 02/02/2020. Does anyone remember what that's called? I don't remember. All I knew is I was so provoked. I got up early, 5 a.m., early for me, and I had to paint. I just had to paint. And this is the result. I worked on it absolutely all day, and the next day it did take me to finish. And as I'm painting it, I just kept hearing the word redemption. And so to me, it is about redemption. And on this one, I think I should read what I wrote. Watch for God's redemption. Set your expectations high. He is bringing redemption to every dark situation, every hopeless diagnosis, every loss, and every abandonment. He is redeeming your time of waiting. He is releasing springtime into your heartaches. He is redeeming mourning with joy and ashes with beauty. He's always faithful. Now you can rest because he always redeems and restores. And I base that on Isaiah 61. And you know what? At the time, it was before the virus was known, I'm pretty sure, but it was certainly before any lockdowns. And I just felt that need to remind me first and people I know of God's redemption. So this is 30 by 40 and available. All of these are available for purchase.
Claudia, that 0202 is called a palindrome.
Thank you, a palindrome. Somebody responded.
Yeah, Matthew cleared up there.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay. These two paintings actually are part of a series, and they're on the auction. So we have a live auction going on. It's bidding you can do right now. It's available on the website. I think Laura posted that last night and probably again today, and you can go check it out. So these two are part of a series. Actually, I have 4 of them that are part of that series. I've been clinging to them rather tightly, but it felt like it was time to help them find new homes. So this one's called Time with the Father. And really, it's just an encouragement to spend time with him. And the whole point of this series, I called the series Living in His Presence, is that life, you know, our walk with the Lord is not just our quiet time in the morning or our devotionals. It's all the time. So this is just an example of you can take him with you wherever and whatever and whenever you're doing something. Take him with you. It was based on Luke 6:12 and Malachi 4:6. You know, this process of the COVID and the lockdown has exposed a lot of the fatherlessness in America. I'm sure you would agree. But it's also knit together families and people even more deeply. And I know so many people have grown closer because they've had to be locked down with their family, and kids are home from school and parents are home, and it has worked to actually bring strength and vitality back into their family. And so I think the Lord wants to remind us of that. This one, I don't know if you can get in there. This one's called In His Shadow. And this is based on John 1, verse 39 in the Passion Translation. It says, Jesus said, "Come and discover for yourselves." So they went with him and saw where he was staying. And since it was late in the afternoon, they spent the rest of the day with Jesus. And so this is just an example of hanging out with Jesus and spending time with him and resting in his shadow. And what I liked about it, I put a backpack on him so that he's carrying the load and she's, in this case, just leaning in, resting in the shadow and protection of the Lord. So both of those are available on the auction. This one is called Legacy. So this is also a very recent piece. I painted it for the School of Creativity. It was so fun. Bethel did an online School of Creativity. And it's kind of self-explanatory, but here's the idea, is that, the elderly, we'll just say older people, have so much wisdom, right? You can look at that hand and all those wrinkles and all those crevices represent wisdom. And here's this young hand, this young child, chubby and full of life and vitality. And the combination of sort of touching and leaning on the older person's hand is the foundation. And yet, who's got the flower? It's hard to tell. Is the older hand sharing the flower? Is the younger hand bringing it to the older person? We don't really know, but we do know that the gifts that they share together are needed. So the wisdom needs to speak into the lives of the innocent, and the youth need to bring the love and affirmation, encouragement to the wise. And the three flowers, although there's four, but three main flowers kind of represents the Trinity. So that's called Legacy, and that's 30 by 40. I don't know, guys, if you can get up in here or not. This one is one of my favorites, and it is available. Like Jesse said earlier, everything's for sale, right? Because as artists, we got to sell our art and move on and keep creating. Otherwise, you've collected quite a few pieces. This is called Dwelling in the Secret Place. And it's really just to represent the beauty of dwelling with him. It was based on Psalm 91, which is probably my very favorite psalm. Thank you for water. I'll get to that. And I just loved it because it speaks of tranquility. It speaks of rest and refreshment. And we've got food, we've got sunlight, peace, cloud covering, everything they need. Those horses represent. And I love all the different colors, and it's vibrant. It's like a rainbow. It's so God, to give us all of that beauty. So I just had to paint that. And that's framed. And I don't even think I put it on. I think I forgot to put it. It's probably because it likes its little cubby hole right here. But it is available for sale. And I can add, if you're interested in that, you just let me know, and I'll figure out the price. Okay, now we're going to somehow not trip over cords and wires, and we're going to move in this direction. Katie, did you just run and hide?
Yes.
Okay, I'll turn this. That's okay, I'll just turn it for you.
I thought you were coming down.
So, Laura, are you seeing this? Laura Brady, the other amazing artist, she painted, I swear, it's an almost identical version, same colors, everything, with regard to this painting of flowers and the lily pads, and I call it Living Waters 2, because not Living Waters 2, but Living Waters also, that's the name of it, hers as well. And this was a collection of some images I had taken, and I sort of did a composite, I guess you could say, of it. And this just represents life, abundance, richness, that even you don't even know what's growing under the surface, but there's life, there's the oxygen and the fish and the reeds and this is sun and ripples, and there's just so much life going on. So this is called Living Waters. And then this one next to that is called On Earth as It Is in Heaven, or On Earth as in Heaven. And for those of you that are familiar with Bethel Church, you're going to know that that's a big part of their mission, is to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. And this piece is taken, I went and took a very early morning snapshot of this gorgeous stone lion that they have up at the top of the hill overlooking. You didn't mean for me to move over. You're saying hurry up. Okay.
No.
Oh, okay. My videographer's giving me directions. And this piece, I just really love this lion so much. And it was early morning and in spring, and it does say Bethel there, but you know, really what it is, it's just he's always watching. You'll see another lion I painted. I wanted to paint a lion, but I was afraid to paint a lion. So I started with a stone statue of a lion first, and I really, really liked how it turned out. This is also framed. It's 24 by 30 and is available. Okay, how is everybody doing?
Great.
Are they still online with us? That's so awesome.
7-10.
Oh, cool. We're just checking to see how we're doing here. Like all the other gals have said, it's amazing how much we can talk. And I'm kind of a professional talker. So you never know what you get. All right, we'll start here. Let's start with the little small one. This is called Love Poured Out. I painted that recently this year. I don't even know what compelled me. I just was in this season of just feeling his love poured out over me. And I painted it, most of it in the healing rooms. I changed it up quite a bit from when I started it there, because I had a terrible proportion problem on stuff, but I fixed it and got rid of it and just kept working it. This has, I don't know, 100 layers on it. And unlike some of our other artists who are fabulous portrait artists, that is not my forte. But I'm happy with how she turned out, and I wanted her to represent just sort of a generic, I mean, we can tell it's a woman, but I wanted her to just be a generic person, basking in the presence of God and really enjoying his love poured out over us. And so that is also based on Romans 5:5. I think I told you guys, if you listened to the Friday night episode where we all got to introduce ourselves, I gave a little story about our what prophetic art means and what it looks like and why I do it and why I call it that and how I started. Basically, my art journey is tied absolutely to sort of painting in church. I mean, because that's where I got the opportunity to explore when I was watching the existing artists paint on stage. I was going to burst if I didn't start doing something. So I started to experiment. And thanks to, I don't know, Jill. Is Jill online? No, it wasn't Jill. It was, oh, shoot. Now I can see her face, and now I can't think of her name. Oh, please forgive me. But anyway, she said to me one day when I talked about I was going to burst if I didn't do something, she said, well, just go to Walmart and ask the Holy Spirit and what you should buy, and buy some starter paints and brushes and paper and start playing. And that simple permission is all it took. So if you're watching and that applies to you, take it and go do it. You have permission to play and experiment. Okay, moving on. This is called The Charge. Now, if you follow me, you might have seen this on my social media or in my emails. This is called The Charge. It's an elephant, obviously, But the point about it is, he or she, I don't know actually how to tell a male from a female, so forgive me, but this elephant was provoked to come and charge. And what I loved about it is he was stirring up the dust so much that, it really, you couldn't tell ground from feet, really. It was, or whatever you call an elephant's foot. And the Lord just spoke to me about this prophetic word. So I have shared this prophetic word a few times. If you want to know it or receive it, please say something to Jean in the chat there, and I can send you a copy of it. But it's a call to you. My blog. Yes, I get a little reminder. Yes, I did blog. It's on my website, claudiaclan.com/blog. And I feel like the Lord, he's not done with whatever he wants to say with this painting, because there's something else brewing, but it hasn't formulated yet. But I will read to you what I wrote. Not the blog, but I'll read to you sort of the prophetic word that went with the painting initially, which was, "Awake, O sleeping giant, come out of the shadows, stop hiding. Now is your time. Open your eyes, stand your ground. Take your stance, stomp the earth, shake off the dust, declare who you are. It's time to wake up. It's time to declare. It's time to charge." And so for some of you that are kind of sitting back watching all that's going on around the world, thinking that you have no impact or no opportunity for impact, that's a lie. This is your call. It is time to charge. It's time to wake up. It's time to go find your assignment in the kingdom of heaven and do it. In Jesus' name. Okay, we're moving on. I think we're doing good. Yes, I'm going to wrap up. And this is Jean. Okay, so Jean is the one who's been responding as me. So if anything's been said inappropriately, I'm not responsible. But this has been so fun to have a whole crew. I don't think I could ever do this again without you guys. So we're thinking about doing it 4 times a year, just warning. Okay, beautiful. I'll come around this way too. You're doing so good, except something came. Did we just get unplugged?
No, you're plugged back in.
Oh, we're plugged back in?
And now you have lots and lots of.
Okay. This way, yeah. There we go. Yay. How about that color? Okay, hi guys. This is a little 2-piece set. First and only time I've done that. But again, it was one of those days I was provoked. I had to do it. I had to come in here and paint, and this is what came out. And so I knew it at the time. I had been, what was stirring up in me was a couple of different scriptures. One had to do with us being the gates. Open up you gates, open up you gate doors, the King of Glory is coming in. That had been just percolating in my heart. And then the other one was about foundations. His foundations are righteousness and justice. And do we not need that now? And so I painted them both. So I call the series, or the 2 pieces, King of Glory. And I did write the words gates and King of Glory on this under here. And I use these kind of sweeping strokes to represent gates opening up. So we are the gates for the King of Glory to come in through. So that's what this piece represents. And then this piece represented the foundations. And so this one you'll see a little bit more geometric kind of lines going this way and that way to represent foundations. And those, on this painting, I wrote the words righteous and justice. And then I thought you might get a kick out of this because I did make a note of this. The colors, orange and blue and white, represent peace and glory, revelation and courage, purity and righteousness. All of that in color. So this is what I wrote. Lift up your heads, O you gates, and be lifted up, you everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Obviously, that sounded like scripture. The heavens are yours. The earth is yours too, and we're talking about that our King. The world and all its fullness, you have founded them. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. Mercy and truth go before your face. So those were from Psalm 24 and Psalm 89. These are 2 by 2 each, 24 by 24, and are available. I'd like to sell them as a set, if possible. But if I had 2 people wanting one or the other, I'd do that. Okay, do I want to take you through the kitchen? It's the shortest way. If you all promise not to look, no, you think we should go this way?
No, I just was really liking the one behind you.
Oh, who was?
Me.
You was, okay. See, I wasn't even including this in my showing. It's a little bit of an older piece, but I will tell you what it represented. It is glory, represented by the poppy. These are poppies. And this is a fictional image. So this represented Northern California, Mount Shasta. And that the gold, heaven's gold, the glory of the Lord, the presence of the Lord for California. So this was a intercessory piece for the state of California.
That's probably why I like it.
That's why you like it. I have intercessors here with me. And the glory of the Lord's flowing down. And so this kind of shows, then it goes from the mountains to sort of that coastal Central Valley, like where Jean's from, the Paso Robles kind of area, down into, well, this could be anywhere, Southern California, and just lots of glory falling through that. And I called it California Gold. And yes, it's available too. Okay. Don't look as we walk through the kitchen because we didn't get to clean up. Oh, will the cords go? Maybe we actually have to go this way. Okay. Hey, we're doing good. You don't mind if I have some wine spritzer, do you? I did tell you it was a party. Okay.
Is that too much?
Okay, how we doing on cables and everything? We're gonna show this one here. Can you see? Okay, the person who said everybody turn off their phones. That was me. Is it still okay? Sorry about that, guys. This is called The Father. And this painting, again, zillions of layers of acrylic paint to kind of get that watery, magical effect. And the child's rendered to be a little bit, could be boy or girl, and a dad. So the idea is that he's just with us wherever. And like a good daddy, he's walking this child into the surf, getting to explore. Everything's safe. The child's safe. Everybody's happy and content because they're together and daddy has got it all. And so again, this had to do with the theme of fatherlessness in America, and that God is knitting the hearts of the fathers back to the children and the children back to the fathers, Malachi 4:6. And then there were some other scriptures from Genesis and Deuteronomy and Joshua and Hebrews that inspired that whole thing. I won't read them to you. But there is a promise that he will never leave us or forsake us. And if you get nothing else, that's what I hope you get. So if anybody is out there needing the love of a father and needing the love of the Father, he wants you to know that he is there, he's always there, and he's with you every step of the day, of every step you take. I even made a mug. and that's available. Oh, and maybe if somebody buys it, I'll throw in the mug. Okay, and finally, we are ending our journey in my art studio. You might recognize it as a kitchen. But I just want to end here. How's the lighting? Okay. This is called He Roars. You're not sure. Again, it's one of those moments. I actually had this in a dream. This image of a roaring lion with sound waves coming out of his mouth. I don't often get images like that. I don't often get, see, you got to have a crew. I'm telling you, it just make you look good. Thank you, Katie. And I knew I was supposed to paint it, but I tried to avoid painting it because it was a little intimidating for me. And I painted something else, which I could show you. It's kind of fun, but it's kind of buried away, so I don't know if I will. Maybe later, when I come back on, I could pull it out and show you. I painted something else, sort of the same colors, thinking, oh, that's good enough. And then the Lord kind of reminded me, like, about that lion. So I'm like, okay, I will do it. So this is what I did. And again, it's acrylic. It's got a bazillion layers on it. I also do some marking and scribbling underneath it and in it. And then I've put some more marks on it. And I've got sound waves. So I took on the raw canvas, I drew sound waves really dramatically, sealed it, and then painted over it. So they sort of disappear back there, but they're there. And then I added more with some textured paint on top just to really drive that home. And so to me, this is the Lord. He's always roaring over us. He's always roaring over situations because he is the Lion of Judah. But this was also at the beginning of the lockdown. So that's when he gave me that dream. And I know he wanted it painted because even if it sits in my house, it's been released like a prophetic word. So I declare with this painting, every time I paint, I'm declaring his heart for you, the viewer, or situation. And in this case, he is roaring over America. He's roaring over the whole world. But as Americans, we kind of feel like things are tough right now. So I just want to remind you and leave you with this, that he is roaring over you. He's roaring over America. He knows what's going on, and he's got this. And so I just bless you with that.